Naranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Vraja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. So today we're reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, 18.73. Let's recite the Mangalacharan before I start. So, Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschataya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare. So we're reading from chapter 18.73. So I'll just recite the Sanskrit and you guys can repeat after. So Arjuna Uvacha Nashto Moha Smritir Labdha Tvat Prasadan Maya Chita Stitosmi Gata Sandeha Karishye Vachanam Tava. Arjuna Uvacha Nashto Moha Smritir Labdha Tvat prasadan maya chita Stitosmi gata sandeha Karishye vachanam tava. Anyone would like to have a go? Yes. Sounds great. Arjuna uvacha Nasto moha smritir labdha Tvat prasadan maya chita Stitosmi gata sandeha Karishye vachanam tava. The word for word translation. So Arjuna uvacha, Arjuna said. Nashta, dispelled. Moha, illusion. Smriti, memory. Labdha, regained. Tvat prasadat, by your mercy. Maya, by me. Achyutya, O infallible Krishna. Stitaha, situated. Asmi, I am. Gati, removed. Sandeha, all doubts. Karishye, I shall execute. Vachanam, order. Tava, your. Translation is Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and am prepared to act according to your instructions. You can repeat again after me. So, Arjuna said, My dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy. I am now firm and free from doubt and prepared to act according to your instructions. And purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So the constitutional position of a living entity represented by Arjun is that he has to act according to the order of the Supreme Lord. He is meant for self-discipline. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that the actual position of the living entity is that of eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. Forgetting this principle, the living entity becomes conditioned by material nature, but in serving the Supreme Lord, he becomes a liberated servant of God. The living entity's constitutional position is to be a servitor. He has to serve either the illusory Maya or the Supreme Lord. If he serves the Supreme Lord, he is in his normal condition. But if he prefers to serve the illusory external energy, then certainly he will be in bondage. In illusion, the living entity is serving in this material world. He is bound by his lust and desires, yet he thinks of himself as the master of this world. This is called illusion. When a person is liberated, his illusion is over, and he voluntarily surrenders unto the Supreme to act according to his desires. The last illusion, this last snare of Maya, to trap the living entity, is the proposition that he is God. The living entity thinks that he is no longer a conditioned soul, but God. He is so unintelligent that he does not think that if he were God, then how could he be in doubt? That he does not consider. So that is the last snare of illusion. Actually, to become free from the illusory energy is to understand Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and agree to act according to his order. The word moha is very important in this verse. Moha refers to that which is opposed to knowledge. Actually, real knowledge is the understanding that every living being is eternally a servitor of the Lord. But instead of thinking oneself in that position, the living entity thinks that he is not a servant, that he is the master of this material world, for he wants to lord it over the material nature. That is his illusion. This illusion can be overcome by mercy of the Lord or by the mercy of a pure devotee. When this illusion is over, one agrees to act in Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is acting according to Krishna's order. A conditioned soul, illusioned by the external energy of matter, does not know that the Supreme Lord is the Master, who is full of knowledge and who is the proprietor of everything. Whatever he desires, he can bestow upon his devotees. He is the friend of everyone, and he is specially inclined to his devotee. He is the controller of this material nature and of all living entities. He is also the controller of inexhaustible time, and he is full of all opulences and all potencies. The Supreme Personality of Godhead can even give himself to the devotee. One who does not know him is under the spell of illusion. He does not become a devotee, but a servitor of Maya. Arjuna, however, after hearing Bhagavad Gita from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became free from all illusion. He could understand that Krishna was not only his friend, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he understood Krishna factually. So to study Bhagavad Gita is to understand Krishna factually. When a person is in full knowledge, he naturally surrenders to Krishna. When Arjuna understood that it was Krishna's plan to reduce the unnecessary increase of population, he agreed to fight according to Krishna's desire. He again took up his weapons, his arrows and bow, to fight under the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yeah, it's a great opportunity to give a Bhagavad Gita class, but I feel quite unqualified to give the Bhagavad Gita class. It's really for my own purification and for my own benefit. So, and yeah, and maybe you guys might find some use for it as well, hopefully. So yeah, this title, chapter 18, is titled The Perfection of Renunciation, or another translation is also Final Revelations of the Ultimate Truth. So I thought it would be quite interesting to look at the difference. So this is the final thing Arjuna says in the Bhagavad Gita. This is the last thing he says after hearing all the Bhagavad Gita from Krishna. So I thought it would be interesting to see the difference where he was at the beginning and where he is now. So in the beginning, when he was going through so much lamentation and problems, he expresses to Krishna in chapter 2 that, Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava prichami tvam dharma samudha chetaha. I'm so confused about my duty and I've lost all composure because of miserly weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and a soul surrendered unto you. And he also says, Nahi prapashyami mama nutyat yat shokam uchoshanam indriyanam. I can find no means to drive away this grief, which is drying up my senses. There's no way I can find any solution to these problems. And I'm so unhappy, basically. And he just gives up, he loses his motivation and just sits down. And he's like, Govinda, I will not fight. And so yeah, you can see Arjuna at the beginning, he's so confused about what he should do, what he shouldn't do. He's going through all these mental thoughts like, on one hand, if he does this, on the other hand, he can't do that because, like that. And he says, Karpanya dosha pahata svabhav, that he's lost all of his weakness because of his, he's lost all composure and integrity because of his miserly weakness. So I didn't know what miserly really meant, so I looked up the definition. And it said a miser is someone, in a worldly sense, a miser is someone that who just hoards lots of wealth and doesn't like to spend it. But in the spiritual sense, so like like the miser has so much money, but he doesn't spend it. Even though all that money could be used for the benefit of his own life and for others. So similarly, from a spiritual dimension, like a spiritual miser is someone who has access to like so much spiritual wealth, so much spiritual knowledge, But he doesn't, all this spiritual knowledge can solve so many problems in life that we have. But we're too busy wasting our time thinking about just me, mine, and just things related to the body and the world, and neglect the spiritual wealth that we have. And yeah, so we're just so focused on, just like Arjun, he was so focused on wasting time, being too affectionate towards family members, friends, society, like that. And and Arjun is saying this himself, like, I'm a miser, I know that this is not the way. So he's realized, he's come to that conclusion that thinking about all these problems is not getting me anywhere, ultimately. And so then he turns to Krishna. He tried so hard to find solutions for his material problems, like in his search for happiness. He tried so many things, this way and that way. You can see in chapter 1, isn't it? He tries so many things. Like everything in his mind and his intelligence, he tries to work out everything, but he fails in all of his endeavors to find happiness. Because ultimately he was looking for happiness, trying to solve problems like death and duty, which is, we can't really solve these problems in material life, through material ways at least, And it's like trying to water the leaf of a plant instead of watering the roots. So obviously, what's going to happen? What do you expect? You can't just put water on the leaves. You have to water the root. So Arjuna realized that he's just watering the leaves, that it's not getting him anywhere. So, and he's also, and he realizes it's making him so depressed. His senses are drying up, and he realizes, I just can't be happy in this material way. So in this lamentation, in his failure for looking for happiness in the material, through the material vision of life, so he decides instead to ask Krishna for advice, who is his very close friend, and for guidance. Who then, throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna recalibrates his vision. He broadens his mind beyond Arjuna's, limited perspective of the world, and gives him a deeper and more spiritual understanding of reality, of life. Like, what's our purpose of life? Is it just to serve family? Is it just to serve oneself? Or is there something more to it than that? And, so throughout the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches him that your purpose isn't just to serve things related to the body, like friends, family, society. That's good. That's the material duty. But there's an even more important and more urgent duty that is to serve in our original nature. So our original duty, or the most prime and important duty, is not to serve the body, but to actually satisfy the soul. Like that. So and when he realizes that, and Arjuna, so here's Krishna, and he understands all of this, and what's the result of coming to that conclusion that I'm not the body, this is not my real duty. My real duty is to serve Krishna, to God. So after that, he says to Krishna in this verse that, my dear Krishna, he uses my dear, so that's like, shows that he's already free from anxiety. Who uses like the languages like dear, That's when he's free from anxiety, he's in gratitude, he's in more love, he's in more love with Krishna. So, my dear Krishna, O infallible one, my illusion is now gone. I have regained my memory by your mercy, and I am now firm and free from doubt and prepared to act according to your instructions. So before, Arjuna was so confused. He was looking for guidance. But now you can see in this chapter, he says, Nashto moha smritir labdha, my illusion is destroyed. Like that. And he's regained his memory by Krishna's mercy, and he's completely free from doubt, any doubt he has, like that. And before he was also so weak, and he didn't know where he was. He was all over the place. He's lost himself in the world, and because he lost touch with who he was, and he's lost himself in the world, and he's basically losing his mind. That's what happens when we lose ourselves in the world. We just get dragged around by the mind so much, and whatever's happening in the world. So now he's regained his integrity. He's firm. He's fixed in who he is. What's his purpose of life? And and he knows. And he's stable. He's very stable. Before he was all over the place, and now he's like focused. And also another thing was, in the beginning he completely lost all motivation to fight, and now he's ready. He's ready to do anything for Krishna. Before he was completely slumped, and he gets up all of a sudden, and he's ready to fight. Picks up his bow. So this is the power of understanding life and understanding our real purpose, because all our energy that's been going in so many other directions finally comes to where it's supposed to be, and then we can finally be situated and finally be happy. We feel that it's natural, and it's naturally peaceful and blissful. So what did Arjuna remember? So ultimately Krishna teaches him that you're not the body, and as living spiritual soul, spirit's particles of consciousness, he realizes that this consciousness is actually coming from God, and it should be used to serve God. Just like we see in this universe, that everything, like an atom, everything is in service. It's always in service. It has a function. It has a purpose. So like an atom is serving like a greater element, like it's part of something bigger. So like that. So what about the soul? What about the consciousness? What's the function of the consciousness? It's ultimately that it has to be part of something. It has to have a function. Yeah. So that function, he realizes that it's because the spirit soul is part and parcel of Krishna. So it is supposed to be connected to Krishna. It is supposed to be in connection and in service to Krishna. Yeah. And by connecting to our real self, we can become more realigned with who we really are and our real life purpose, and then serve Krishna like that. And so not only did he know who he was, then he could also understand that Krishna was God, And he just he realized that Krishna is actually the supreme controller, and he's the owner of everything. He's controlling all the living entities. He's controlling the whole material world. Yeah. He's also controlling time, like I said in the purport. He's everyone's friend, and he has everyone's best interest at heart. So because of our forgetfulness of Krishna, because we have to serve something, our nature is to be engaged in something. Because we've forgotten Krishna, or we chose to forget Krishna, we have to be subservient to something. Therefore we come into this material body, we become covered by the false ego, thinking that, yes, this is me, this is who I am, this is the body, I'm this, I'm that. And in this way we try to become God. We try to become the enjoyer. We try to see that, everything belongs to me. Everything is for my own senses, for my pleasure. Instead of, if we were to be in our original constitution, we would see the reality that nothing is actually mine, that everything actually belongs to Krishna. Even I belong to Krishna. So we come into this illusion, thinking that this body is who I am. This body is mine, I and mine. And as a result, all consequent false identities are also created, concoctions of life. it distorts all of reality, that we, the truth is distorted, because we accept this body as who we are, like that. And we think that we are, enjoying this world, we think I'm the master, that this is all happening for me. But little do we might realize at some point that actually the world is just beating me into a pulp eventually. Um, Death, old age, disease, and repeating again and again through many lives. And so we think we're lording over material nature, but then actually we're getting more and more entangled in the world, right? It just becomes more and more complicated and so difficult to get out of. So when we come to the understanding that, this is not my, I'm an illusion, that this is, not my real purpose of life. This is a false reality that I'm living in. And my real life is in serving Krishna. So that's our prime duty, and is to come to that platform, once again revive our Krishna consciousness, which is all there naturally within everyone. And because we try to be happy in so many other ways, we think that we can become happy by serving the world, serving Maya, serving our senses, serving the body, family, friends, society, etc. We think that will make us happy, but actually no. Only we're trying to be happy by doing these things, but it's actually by serving we can be happy. So by serving, we naturally become realigned with our original self, and naturally the happiness is just a byproduct anyway. We actually go beyond happiness and distress of the world. And there comes, because the soul is Satchitananda, we become reconnected with our blissful nature. Like that. So the point is that don't try to be happy in the world through all these different means, but actually try to serve. By serving, happiness becomes a byproduct. It's not even a big thing, Materially, it's nice to be happy, but that's not the goal. Service is the goal, because what we get from service is nothing comparable to what happiness from the material perspective is. So when we serve God, we can reconnect with that original happiness. Bliss is beyond happiness, like that. Because it's coming from Krishna, that happiness. So we can connect with Krishna's happiness. And that actually rejuvenates us as a soul. When Krishna is happy, we're happy. Just like when we water a root, or when we feed the belly, right? Feed the stomach. All the parts and parcels of the body, also parts of the body, become also nourished. Like the fingers, you don't have to naturally the finger doesn't have to be striving to become happy. So just by feeding the stomach or serving Krishna, actually the happiness just naturally emanates. And you might wonder, why am I so happy sometimes? Sometimes on book distribution, one day in book distribution, sharing Krishna's wisdom, it makes Krishna very happy. There's nothing more happier than that for Krishna, is getting this message to other people. So Krishna becomes naturally happy. One day I was like, after book distribution, I was like, why am I happy? There's no reason whatsoever. But it was coming from a different sphere, a different stratum altogether. And then my friend told me that actually, this is not your happiness. You're just experiencing a drop of Krishna's happiness, like that. So don't try to be happy. Just try to serve. Yeah. And just like we may not get that service, the bliss of serving, the nectar of serving immediately, but because we're so far away from our real nature, we're so far away from our real nature of being the servant of God, because we're so busy throughout so many different lives, we've been occupied with other services to our own self, and instead of serving God like that. So it's like an amnesiac patient. Someone who has amnesia, he can't remember anything. And what the doctors recommend is that the amnesiac patient try and go back to what he used to do. So for example, if the person used to play the piano, so the family would come over, see if they recognize the family. So they would introduce his previous life slowly, like that. So family members would come and see him, or he would bring him his old books, class, school memories, etc., etc. Or if he used to play the piano, they would present a piano before him, and can you play this? And he's naturally playing all this piano. So just like that, and slowly over time, the amnesiac patient actually starts to remember more and more of his memory. Just like that, the more we serve, we actually start to revive our Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda ki jai, Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. So yeah, just like how like an amnesiac patient slowly revives his old memories, so it's by the act of serving, act of chanting, act of reading all this spiritual knowledge, remembering our spiritual identity. Over time, the idea is that we will become more and more spiritually realized. We'll revive our original spiritual memories like that, and who we really are inside. This is just a coat that we wear. So yeah, like that we'll slowly, hopefully, remember our original life. So the idea is, this is our original eternal duty, is to serve God and become harmonious, live in harmony with God. So like that, Krishna is a person, we're also persons, and by connecting with Krishna's desires, we become one with him. So it's not like we merge into Krishna, like many other philosophies may say, that we merge into Krishna and that's how we become blissful. Actually, to really connect with Krishna intimately means that Krishna has desires, the Lord has desires, and so a devotee, what he does is he flows with the current of the Lord's desires. So he will just flow with that and try to satisfy the Lord. And therefore you see Arjuna, after he realizes this, when he remembers all this knowledge, he says, I'm ready to do anything you ask of me. I'm ready, no reservations whatsoever, prepared. Before he was hesitant because he forgot, because of Krishna's arrangement, he forgot that, he just started to go too much into the material aspects of things. And he lost touch with this spiritual reality, spiritual life. And so then once he started to remember, once he became in his natural position, there was no question whatsoever, this is it. It's quite clear. All his doubts, everything just became clear. And, because there's a verse in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, Krishna, like how we, where is this coming from? I'm not making it up. In chapter 15.7, Krishna says, Maveva angsha jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana, manasasthendriyani prakriti sthani karshati. So Krishna says, the living entities, the jivas in this world, in this conditioned world, are all my eternal fragmental parts. And due to conditional life, they are struggling very hard with the 6 senses, which include the mind. So because we forgot who we are, we start to identify with this world, etc. And then Krishna is saying that we're all Krishna's eternal fragmental parts. So we all come from Krishna, and and we're all connected to him. Not like, we're not one, but we're connected to him through. We've always been separate actually from Krishna, eternally. So it seems that we've always been a servant of the Lord, and so by connecting with our eternal nature, we can become. By serving, we can reconnect with the Lord like that, because we're in our natural position, and we can connect to Krishna like that as well. But if we don't remember our spiritual identity and we forget who we are, what happens is we start identifying with the mind, we start identifying with these senses, and these minds and these senses will start to drag us all the way around the world. We get lost in the world, we forget who we are, we can't be happy, we become conditioned more and more, we become affected by all the different energies in the world. We become affected by the different energies like, mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance. And in this way, we might actually get trapped in this world for such a very, very long time, like we have been through our many different species of life, trying to fulfill our desires to be happy, not knowing that actually our true happiness lies in serving Krishna. So now we have this opportunity, we have this human life, we have access to Krishna's mercy, we have access to the spiritual world, and we should take advantage of it, and we shouldn't be misers, and just dive deeper into the spiritual knowledge that we have, and allow the Bhagavad Gita, just like Arjuna was enlightened, and also lightened by listening to Krishna and following his instructions. So he was enlightened in the sense that he was in a very dark place, and he couldn't see any way out of his problems. So by listening to the Bhagavad Gita more, we gain more clarity of life. We see what's happening. Then when we see that, we can also become lightened. So meaning that Arjuna, you can see at the beginning, he has so much baggage of doubts in his mind. He has so much confusion. He was just completely knocked out, and he just fell on he was just kind of slumped. He just sat down. He was like, just the burden of everything. So by reading the Bhagavad Gita, we can actually become free of all this burden that we carry with us, unnecessary burden. Just like when we see, right, when the light is on and we see, okay, I have this backpack on. Why am I carrying this backpack? All this stuff is unnecessary. Actually, I don't need all of this. So naturally, you take out all the stuff, and you become so much lighter. And just like Arjuna, when he heard the Bhagavad Gita, he stood up. Before he was too heavy now he's lightened up, and he's able to stand up and fight. And just like so, all these baggages represent our material duties, all these things we carry with us, all our conceptions about material life, all our aspirations of trying to be happy in the material world, friends, family, society, feeding the senses, all the sense objects that are in the world. We have this in our minds all the time. This is going to make us happy. But when we start to offload all of these things, we realize that I don't need anything actually. I'm a servant of Krishna, and that's part of my nature. And all these weights are, they're just bothersome. So all these other weights represent our secondary duties. But then when we reconnect with our real duty of life, serving Krishna, we become lightened. We don't need all of these other things. And like that, we become enlightened as well. And actually, I was really nervous about giving this class. And I spoke to one devotee, and he reminded me that you have to do this because it's a service. I was like, oh, okay. Then he reminded me that actually this is a service in the sense that This is to please the Lord. So this is a service, and I have to do it because it's for my own benefit. And so like that, and it reminded me that actually, wait, I'm not this body. Why am I getting nervous? Why am I getting anxious? I'm the soul, so I should be doing my real duty. Why should I live a fake life? And so yeah, like that, um, I was like, okay, I'll do the class because it's service, um, and it will make Krishna happy, and it will also benefit me as well, obviously. And but yeah, it's service. Yeah, please.
Now, can you look at Bhagavad Gita 9:27?
9:27. Okay.
Read it now. I think it's Yapka wishing Krishna.
So it's the English translation. Right? So whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me.
So this will convert all our family duties into service.
Yeah,
Treat them as a service
sure.
to Krishna.
Mm.
Have to look after them for Krishna.
Yeah,
They're Krishna's children as well.
yeah.
They don't belong
Mm.
to me, but soon they'll be separated. And so if they would do even the washing up for Krishna, becomes transformed
Mm.
into service.
Sure.
This house is Krishna's house.
Yeah.
You know, we're together.
Mm.
It doesn't belong to me.
Mm.
It's temporary.
Sure.
So that's what it's worth
Yeah.
considering.
Yeah.
That verse, if you read that 9:27, it converts everything that you're doing in your family life into Krishna life,
Mm.
Krishna's service.
Sure.
You have to look after your children.
Yeah.
Krishna's children.
Mm. Yeah.
And so then we start to see that, like you've treated this as your service. Once it's in the terms of service, it becomes magical. It becomes a thing of wonder that I'm serving Krishna every day. Even in my family life, my work life,
Mm.
Krishna gave me this job, so I must do it nicely.
Mm.
It doesn't matter who my boss is.
Mm.
Krishna gave me this boss.
Mm.
What can I do? I have to be humble, do what he said, what she said.
Mm.
So if we treat like that, there's nothing as much as Krishna is doing everything for us.
Sure. Yeah.
He's given us this definition, this 927, how to convert every moment as an act of worship for Krishna. Every service, every action, he's saying, I got to do this for Krishna. So I used to do archery, and I used to shoot the bow for Krishna.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Sometimes I missed, but Krishna's in charge of the results. You don't have to worry. He says in Bhagavad Gita, don't worry. I'm in charge of all the results of what you do.
Mm.
If you burn your cooking, you don't mean to do it. So it's you still serve.
Yeah.
When you go out into the woods or this thing, in language, issue some one day and then not another. Because Krishna's in charge of that service.
Yeah. So just to clarify,
Yeah.
yeah, just serving Krishna doesn't mean you leave your family behind, or you, but you see everything through the service of Krishna. So even your family, you see that as a service to Krishna. It's not that you leave your family or like that, but yeah. So see everything through this. Yeah, thank you so much, Priyajan, for that verse and elaboration on that. So thank you. Yeah. So yeah, when we see things as for service, we naturally gain more strength because we do it for Krishna, and we're connected to Krishna. Krishna gives us that strength to carry on. That, yeah. Any other questions? Gopinath? Okay. Uh, understand it. So how can I practically realize the theory that everything should be seen with the eyes of service? I guess one thing you can do is judge by the results. Um, if I see everything through the eyes of service that I'm serving Krishna, naturally we should get some internal reward as well. We should feel more blissful. I think that's one thing, definitely. So I don't know if any other devotees have anything to say about that. Yeah. And we also do it out of duty. Like initially, we won't feel any results, but just out of duty, we do it because theoretically, we know that we should serve Krishna, but over time, we'll become more and more purified. We should become. Maybe we can judge by results like how much we're being attracted by material senses, how much we're being pulled away. So, the greater the degree we become connected to Krishna, the less these things should be affecting us. So maybe we can judge by that as well, that the process is working, because it's a scientific process. So this should be the result. Yeah, sorry, you have a question? Yeah. So Prabhu said that, just for people online, if they're watching, just do your duty and just offer the results to Krishna, like that. Do it with a full heart. Whatever has been placed before you, you accept that, and you offer that to Krishna. Any other questions or corrections or criticisms? Okay, Jai. So Bhagavad Gita ki. Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Jai. Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki. Jai. Boo. Jai. Hare Krishna. Seven. Jaya Gaura Chandra.
जय श्री राधा गोकुलानंद की जय श्री सीताराम लक्ष्मण हनुमान की जय गौर निताय की श्रील प्रभुपाद की शिव जय जय गौरचंदे हारति को शोभा शिव जय जय गौरचंदे हारति को शोभा जानविदातावाले Sanjaya Mukunda Gosharikaya Gantavaje Gantavaje Vaje Karatha Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Svaminite Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Prajarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashyacharya Sarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Ram Vishnupadam Sadhisaya Sadhisaya Ese Plan Sadhisaya Ki Ram Vishnupadam Sadhisaya Sadhisaya Bhaktivedanta Manor Ki Anandapati Vaishnavrinda Ki Amasana Vidas Thakur Ki Sivalo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurapinda Ki Sri Radha Krishna Prabhupada Shyam Kun Adhikam Giri Garan Ki Mathura Vrindavan Dham Ki Simatu Dham Ki Sinapti Dham Ki Shri Shri Jagannath Sudamani Ki Jaganamai Jaganamai Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Tulasi Devi Ki Shri Ram Sankirtan Ki Shri Shri Radha Gokula Nanda Ki Dharam Hanuman Ki ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Manor Ki Samaveta Bhaktivedanta Ki Radhita Gautarande All glories to all glories to all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Ranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada.
Namaste Narasimhaya Namaste Narasimhaya Bhagavan ki, Radha Raj ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Jai Gaur Premanand. The next arati will be at 9 o'clock. And there's Maha served outside in the reception, just through the doors there. And thank you for coming. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.